Hello, my amazing adventurous Aries. Welcome, welcome. It is Sachi the Scorpio, and I'm here to deliver your guided healing tarot for the month of August. Please like, comment, and subscribe. The more energy that you send to me, the more energy that I can send to you. And thank you so much for all of your likes and support on my YouTube channel and on Instagram. I am now posting my videos on both. Just a friendly reminder that the top two videos that get the most likes will get a twin flame bonus at the end of the month, as well as some promo codes next month for the extended should you feel called to go there. All right, let's hop into it, Aries. This is what came out in the cleansing ceremony. We had Star Mother. How can you mother yourself? So it feels like, honestly, when it first came up, it felt like you kind of have to be your own mother in some sort of way. There could have been, a lack of unconditional love, right? A mother is supposed to give you unconditional love and support, right? Quote unquote, supposed to, right? But a lot of us don't get that. So we have to learn how to get that mothering energy elsewhere, and it usually comes from ourselves. So it looks like you might be doing some reparenting, might be doing some inner child work, and a lot of it has to do with the loving and the nurturing and, the divine feminine energy needed in order to, mother yourself. There could be some energy going on with Cancer in your life or in your chart. We had the Four of Wands come out in reverse. So this is my twin flame union card, in reverse, but it can be marriage, any sort of commitment, right? The Four of Wands are two people who are now in union, right? They're getting married or some sort of commitment. So because it's in reverse, this could be a commitment that, failed, or a marriage that didn't work out, or someone that you thought that you'd end up with and it ended up not working out the way that you thought it did. It's like you aren't bringing your kundalini together to manifest your reality in union. And with death in reverse, it's also causing you to not be able to sort of transition on to the next stage, right? Death is scorpionic energy. It's about death and rebirth, right? Death is just a transitionary phase. And here it's, purgatory, and there are some people ascending to heaven, but it feels like, because you are unable to allow things to die and be reborn, you're kind of stuck in this purgatory space. And with the High Priestess in reverse, it's telling me it's causing your divine feminine energy to be a bit off kilter when it comes to your intuition and things like that. Some of you might even... Yep, and there's Archangel Gabriel. So anytime he barks, it's talking about, he's bringing in messages from the angels as Archangel Gabriel. And so, I've been seeing this message came up for quite a few signs already, and even in some of my personal readings where, some of us follow spiritualists because we resonate with their messages, but they're not really working on a high vibration, right? They're not helping anchor light. They're just sort of, reiterating your trauma back to you without being solution oriented, without, getting any sort of divine guidance. And that's what the High Priestess in reverse kind of feels like to me, is someone who just uses kind of their, their spiritual and psychic gifts to keep people in a loop rather than to help them ascend. Okay. And then we have the Hermit. So it looks like, you are being asked to go on this journey on your own, right? The Hermit, indicates isolation. So you might be turning inward, kind of going through possible dark night of the soul, might be going into hermit mode, right? Where you sort of close yourself off. And the Hermit's journey is to find enlightenment, right? So the Hermit goes on this journey by himself, right? He has his book of knowledge, or book of shadows, perhaps. And he goes to search for the answers, and the answers are always within, right? It's when you go into your own darkness and find that light, that's when you hit the enlightenment. So it looks like, that's what's being cleansed this month. We had Cottony coming out using fairy wind. So anytime there's fairy types that has to do with soulmates, right? You do this, I do that. Different kind of soul contracts, can be lovers, friends, whatever it may be, right? Every single person that you interact with has some sort of soul contract with you. And those soul contracts, you can learn that lesson and then the contract's over, right? It's just like a lease. And so with fairy wind, it's telling me that there are a lot of different, people that got brought into your life, perhaps through the divine wind. I'm getting kind of Gemini energy, and look how they're kind of like attaching to each other. So this is telling me that you have gotten into attachment with, various people. And then we had two trainers that wanted to come out, Trainer Eco Arm and Trainer Rough Seas. So, trainers always indicate someone else's energy, right? So this fairy wind that came in and brought you a bunch of various soulmates can kind of be separated into two groups is what it feels like. Again, very Gemini. One is eco arm. Those who are interested in, you know, lending you a hand, who are interested in, you know, kind of the recycle thing of allowing things to be a, you know, like, cohesive symbiotic ecosystem, basically, right? Like, hey, okay, let's use what we have and let's, you know, do this and this and this, right? Like really willing to work to clean things up as well, right? Very eco-friendly. And it could be, you know, in a larger term when it comes to like our actual ecological environment. But I also feel just like, hey, let's have a sustaining environment when it comes to our friendship or our love relationship or whatever it may be. The other half are in rough seas. These are people who are, you know, very emotionally turbulent. They're kind of always in emotional turmoil. And when you have relationships like that, you know, there's nothing wrong with them, right? It doesn't make them bad or evil, but it also tends to rough up your waters as well, right? Which is your emotions. So you might be noticing, you know, what actually works and what just feels like I'm in a storm, you know, or what traps me in the ocean in the middle of an ocean cyclone, basically. And then we have Frostmouth coming out using ice dance. So it's telling me that your emotional body is now learning that you need to ice some people out because, you know, no one should be able to really rough up your seas like that, right? Or maybe you're getting tired of people being able to do that to you. And so Frostmoth is moth spirit, and moth spirit represents, you know, the metamorphosis that you go through in the shadow, right? Quite like the butterfly is with the light. So it looks like you are going through, you're kind of in the final stages of metamorphosis, of learning this lesson. So it looks like even though you have gone into hermit mode, you might be coming out of it when you have learned this shadow lesson. So anyways, oops, I just, Aries, I hope all is well. So this month, what we are going to do is we're going to take a look at what light should you be shining, or what light are you meant to be shining? What's your light? Then we will take a look into what is dulling your shine, what is casting the shadow on your light so that, you know, hindering your ability to shine. And then we will look into how we can overcome that blockage, how to get rid of, you know, whatever is stopping you from being able to shine. And then, of course, some advice on how to manifest your highest vibrational timeline. So let's take a look. All right, Aries, let's see. What is the light for Aries? Lemuria, creating heaven on earth. It's happening. Just say yes. Yeah, you know, heaven is anchoring in. If you are feeling dystopian or in some sort of hellscape, then, you know, obviously you're tuning into, quote unquote, the wrong frequency, right? It's not necessarily wrong, but you're choosing to tune into that. Heaven on earth is anchoring, right? Lemuria is like, the Lemurian timelines are, you know, it's like starseed sort of energy, but they're also sort of ancient history as well, where it's a utopia, right? They coexist with technology, and they build a, you know, very advanced society that coexists with nature. And we see that you're kind of attracting two people. One was like that, right? That's the eco arm sort of thing. Like, hey, let's clean this place up. Let's make sure that we're, you know, functioning with the way the world is. And so there is a big collective of people that are creating heaven on earth. It is happening, and it feels like you are part of this. And it looks like the way that you are able to shine your light is just saying yes, you know, just affirming this heaven. You know what I mean? I mean, Aries, you definitely tend to work on a binary system, right? That's why you know, you rule over impulse and things like that, because with Aries, it's like, it's a yes and I'm doing it, or it's a no and I'm not doing it, which means it's a yes to something else and I'm doing that, right? It's a very like binary, this or that, you know what I mean? So yeah, it looks like you're being asked to say yes, help anchor in that earth. With the Nine of Pentacles in reverse, it feels like there's a cycle that you haven't finished inside of yourself that has to do with physicality. It could have to do with like physical things. What I'm getting is like, heaven does not mean you have a bunch of stuff. You know what I mean? Being in abundance doesn't mean you have the most, you know, expensive clothes and a pet, whatever the heck that is. You know what I mean? And a little dog that is, you know, gets the most expensive food and shampoo or whatever. I mean, of course, in heaven, everyone, you know, takes care of their body and eats healthy, including animals and things like that. But it feels like you're kind of understanding like, hey, heaven on earth is not having a bunch of stuff. Heaven on earth is more of a mindset. Yeah, exactly. With the Eight of Swords, heaven on earth is not feeling trapped. Okay, Eight of Swords represents a cycle, right, that you're going through. And look, she's even holding it. It's like she's kind of holding almost like a noose thing, but instead it's around her eyes, right? Eight of Swords is when, you know, you're blind to reality. You feel like you're just stuck there, right? When really she could pull that string, take that off her eyes, right? She has complete freedom to get herself out of that situation, right? These swords are around her, not in her. You know what I mean? So it's like being trapped by just sort of neglecting to open your eyes to reality. And it feels like that's what you're understanding what heaven is not being trapped in, you know, like not being poisoned by the wine of your own intent is what I'm getting. And so, yeah, like you are recognizing it's like not feeling stuck. And woo, yeah, there you are, Aries. Two of Cups, right? This is soulmate relationships. Heaven on earth is having soulmate relationships that are like the King of Wands, fiery, right? Woo. The Two of Cups, right? Emotional exchange of equals. And it feels like that's what you are understanding heaven is just, you know, when two people agree, yes, let's create heaven together. You know what I mean? And then that becomes 3, and then that becomes 4, and da-da-da-da-da. And that is how heaven on earth anchors, is through emotional exchanges that are positive. For you, Aries, it does look like this is also very heated, could also be lustful or romantic. The King of Wands denotes, you know, heavy masculine energy, and it's power in terms of spirituality. It's power in terms of passion. It's power in terms of creativity, right? The King of Wands creates. He is the creator. He's the master of Kundalini energy. So it does look like you are recognizing a lot of, you know, Kundalini from the masculine end needs to be involved with this heaven on earth. And very passionate. The King of Wands, like in this deck, represents someone, I think it was oh crap, I can't remember his name now. Excuse me, Aries. But yeah, he was a great, like, emancipator, basically. Let's see, what's the light energy here? Like, literally, let's emancipate by any means necessary. We have Inke using tackle. So yeah, it looks like you're tackling your shadow work here, okay? With Inke here, right? This is dark energy coming out in the light, so it looks like you're very aware, right? If the darkness is in the light, the shadow's in the light, right? So you're very aware of this darkness. It says, opponents who stare into the flashing of the light-emitting spots of its body become dazed and lose their will to fight. Yeah, so it looks like you're understanding that, like, when there's light, people don't want to fight it. You know what I mean? When shadow comes to light, people are going to be like, oh, let's burn it to the ground. Let's blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like the King of Wands, even though he is an emancipator, he did it by slaughtering people. Okay? So it's a very, right, some people consider him a martyr. Some people consider him like a loose cannon revolutionary. Some people consider him a great emancipator, right? It's very perception based on what he was doing. He, you know, he killed innocent women and children as well, like on his quest. So of course there's multiple sides to every story, right? And I'm not here to whatever. So anyway, Aries, you know, but that's what happens when shadow is there, right? It's like, okay, I want to fight shadow, right? Everybody kind of wants to fight their shadow. But when it's light, people lose their willingness to fight, right? And that's okay, right? And it's okay when there's nothing negative to fight against, if that makes sense. So it looks like you're understanding that, like, okay, if people are blinded by light, then they won't fight. Let's see what's the shadow. For some of you, I'm getting that it's like, oh, okay, well, people are kind of, I feel like some of you are feeling, some people are lost in an illusion of like, oh, heaven's here. That's sort of all they're affirming, and they're not actually willing to sort of fight and do the quote unquote dirty work in order to get there. Let's see, what's the shadow? What's the shadow? Steel energy in reverse. So it looks like again, there's okay, so when it comes to this, like, right, abundance being having a bunch of stuff, it feels like you know that that's not the case. And there is also an energy of not stealing. It's like, okay, that's what needs to be fought for, is like no more stealing from other people, not their land, not their labor, not anything, not their life or anything like that. So it feels like you're like, okay, I don't want to take anything from anyone. That's not the way to heaven either. But with steel energy in reverse, it is telling me that you might not be protected, because steel energy for me is when you know how to protect your aura. So you might want to reassess the way that you are doing your protection rituals or spells or whatever it may be. With Porygon using sharpen, it does look like you're trying to sharpen your communication skills here. Porygon is also like a Pokemon that works on code and stuff like that. Like it moves through like cyberspace and things like that. So I feel like you're trying to sharpen your message, perhaps for an online audience. It says, a Pokemon that consists entirely of programming code. It is capable of moving freely in cyberspace. Yeah, exactly what I said. So, you know, it consists entirely of programmable code, and that is also like you, right? You know, we are all made of code no matter where you look. If we look into the physics, if we looked into genetics, if we look into astrology, right? Everything is a code. So the way that you are, you know, programming, understand that you have the ability to reprogram yourself in any sort of way, right? And you also have the ability to reprogram others as well. It's talking about working in cyberspace, so I feel like some of you might actually be wanting to work online in regards to this mission. And yeah, all right. So like I said, in the extended, we're going to take a look at what is dulling your shine, what is stopping this light from coming out, and then we will look at how to overcome that blockage, and then some advice on how to manifest the highest vibrational timeline. But let's bring a unicorn to bring us into the extended for Aries, please. Okay, hold on. I'm getting that an astrology card wants to come out for you first, actually. Let's see. All right, going right to the King of Wands. We have Leo, I will, in reverse. Okay, so you have all this fire, but it feels like your willpower is kind of low at the moment. And it might be because there's a bit too much shadow that you're fighting instead of being able to shed the light. You know what I mean? Because Aries, if there's something to fight against, I know who's fighting against it until the end, right? It's Aries. You are the god of war. You are, you know, the ram that rams things into submission. And guess what? That shadow is always going to be there. So if you're just really trying to focus on hitting that shadow to get rid of it, that's going to be, you know, a lost cause. It's going to be forever. You know, Leo is all about the sun, right? Shining the light. So it looks like your willpower is just a little bit low when it comes to your masculine kundalini here. So let's see what unicorn wants to bring us into the extended. Yes, Aries, I was hearing like unicorns, Yeah, so unicorns are also part of our code. The way that I explain them is that they're like little glitches in the matrix that help you hop from one timeline to the next. And they can do that many consecutive times to get you to a higher vibrational timeline. Caring community. And it wanted to come out in reverse. So I feel like you don't feel like you have a caring community. Maybe you aren't making all the connections that you like, right? We see that there are some that are, you know, like the eco, you know, helpers, but then there are some that are just rough seas, right? It's just like emotional turmoil after emotional turmoil, just constantly emotionally riling you up. But we have caring community, participate and belong, enrich your life. So it looks like part of this is finding a community that enriches you and that you are part of, that is participatory, right? So yeah, it looks like there are some more beautiful people that are going to come into your life. And, you know, the unicorns are trying to help you connect with your, you know, soul family, basically, instead of just whatever, you know, fairy wind decides to attach to you for whatever sort of karmic lesson, you know, in your soul contracts may be had. So this is very, very positive. I'm feeling that a lot of people want to come in and help you with whatever cause you have of helping anchor in heaven, right? So my dear Aries. If you would like to follow me into the extended, the link is in the description box below. If you're watching on Instagram, it is also in the link in my bio. But if we part ways here, good luck with the situation. I am sending you so much love, a big hug, and a kiss on your third eye. Mwah!